It's not just any case, it's the Bad Buddy Rooftop case from episode 5. Let's go. Hi friends! Today is a very special one for me because I get to talk about one of my hyperfixation of the last few years, which is the TV series Thai BL Bad Buddy. And it's all about that one scene and generally the dynamic of that kiss on the rooftop in episode 5. Let's go, let's talk about it. I'm so excited. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I love having this little community here, and just let me know all your thoughts and everything and share it with someone in your life who needs the Bad Buddy goodness. Okay, let's go. Okay, so if you don't know, Bad Buddy, like it's a Thai BL, right? It's a Thai BL. It's with Om and Anon. It's their only Thai BL together, and it is iconic. It is so well done. If you want to know more about my thoughts in depth, really about Pat and Pran's relationship and the whole shebang, listen to my podcast episode about Bad Buddy. Okay. So we have Pat and Pran, and like they meet again in university. Again, they are on rivaling sides because in university they are again on different sides of like a rivalry. This time it's the engineers versus the architects. And so it's already starting some more tension on top of just them like not being allowed to be friends or anything, their parents hating each other, and then a whole school concert incident which actually led to them being separated for several years. It's just so dramatic, really. And then of course we have this whole like it's starting again, and they like meet again, and like Pat's sister's like, you know, she's like, you can't like fight with him all the time. And they also have like very quite interesting moments. They try not to fight. Then they're in this play together. They have to keep the engineers and the architects from fighting and from destroying everything. They do get in several fights, which also is what leads to kind of like more tension being built up. And then of course we have in episode 5, there are so many things happening, and they are basically like in a confrontation, and why is there, and Pat is like being kind of antagonistic. Pran is really trying to keep the peace. They meet up on the rooftop. It's on the rooftop, and it's just so like the acting level, you know, the acting level is so crazy because you can see in their eyes, you can see it in their eyes that there's so much not just like tension and like, you know, possibilities and even maybe some, you know, lust, romance and so on, but it's all these things also from before. It's regret, it's guilt, you know, it's also relief because things are finally coming to a head basically. And it's just so much, you can feel the tension in the air. Also Om and Anon, just amazing actors, right? Very excited to see both of them in different shows as well. But in this show, them together, it's just crazy, okay? Like there's quite, I don't know, like this underlying current electricity, and you just like feel electrified from that scene. Many other scenes are to come as well in the series, but especially that one. And they basically have this confrontation, and in the beginning it's obviously about what happened and with why and with like all the other like things that happened before, but then it spirals into this other thing in which basically Pat is like, oh my god, like I was so relieved that I didn't have to compete with you anymore when you had to leave because of the school's concert thing, where your mom literally found out that they were kind of friends, and she was like, no, you can't be friends, and he got sent to boarding school. So very dramatic also. Definitely an overreaction on her part. But again, listen to a podcast if you want to know more on that, about how the parents are basically not great parents. But anyway, so it basically goes like that, and Pat is like, yeah, like I was so relieved, but then like I was also so lonely because no one was there that could really challenge me like you do, and like no one really did understand me the way that you do, because it's also, I think it's like semi-canon, but I don't know, maybe this is my own interpretation, but I think that definitely Pran is like either autistic or has some maybe also like some OCD tendencies, like more in that like corner basically. But then Pat is the different vibe of neurodivergent. He's very impulsive, he's very like quick, he's very like, you know, there, and it's giving more the ADHD, also with the hyperactivity in general, like it's giving more ADHD for him. Also, like literally, that was me in university. I was like, I did not get up early. When people were like, I'm going to the library early, I'm like, no. And so I feel like they really understood each other on a level that basically nearly no one else understands them, especially not their parents or their friends in university. Maybe Ink and Pa are like a little bit more on that level, because firstly, obviously, Pa is Pat's sister, but also Ink has been there for quite some of their journey, basically, and then also is in the same university as them, obviously. So that's why I think it's just like this amalgamation of all these feelings which are like bubbling up constantly, and especially Pran, who is a master at repression, you know, in so many ways, because as he then also later says and confesses basically, and we already kind of know and see then also from other scenes before this episode and before this kiss, is that he is like so scared of what happened when his mom finds out that he is in love with Pat, and he's still in love with Pat after even being separated for several years and not seeing each other at all for several years and not being in any kind of contact with Pat. He's still deeply in love with him. And so I get that, because even though they're technically adults, obviously university, I think in Thailand is not for free, so his parents have to pay for that, which obviously also creates another dimension. And there's so many good fan fictions about this kind of like either here basically and you know, in like the earlier part of Bad Buddy, like a canon divergent, or also later when they run away to the beach. Just the fanfiction writers doing the best work ever. You know, sometimes better than published authors, but okay. Maybe that's a hot take. Anyway, let's go back to that scene. And so it's just like there is like all this building up, which has built, especially for Bran, has been building up for years, right? And so he has this moment when they're standing in all this tension. He's like, okay, so am I gonna get hurt again, basically? And then Pat is basically like, you know, he's like reciprocating that tension, and like then their eyes meet, and it's just so crazy when they say, oh, do you want to be friends? And they say no, and then they kiss, and then they kiss again, and it's like really, it's such a well done scene. Firstly, the actors. Secondly, the tension, the chemistry, everything that's been leading up to this moment. The cinematography it's just amazing. That's why I'm making a whole video just about this scene, because I need to think and tell you all my thoughts just about this scene, you know? That's why. It's a bit crazy, I know, but I feel like we need to really dissect this scene and all the things that happen before and a little bit also afterwards. Because then they like and then you can really see that Pat is like super happy, because he's like, oh my god, like all the tension's gone, I'm so relieved, I'm actually like, these feelings are actually real, like I really do like Pran the way that I think I do like him. And you know, and he's like really happy, he's like already accepting all of the things. But Pran is like, oh my god, like what if our parents find out again? What if they transfer me to a different university? I can't pay for this university, so I need to go to a different university because I want to become an architect, but then I also don't want to lose Pat again. And so once they stop kissing, you can see that like Pat is like super relieved, he's relaxed, he's like smiling a little, and you can see that Pran is like crying, he's like near a panic attack, I would say. And that's why he also runs away, I think, because it's just overwhelming. Or like, as a neurodivergent person, I can also totally understand. Firstly, it's not always easy to process your emotions in the moment. Second, this has been a long time coming. Third, he's probably on the verge of a panicking. And fourth, even especially if what I think is also Pran's neurodivergent, which is probably either autism and or OCD like tendencies, then this is like really big thing to process for him. Definitely overstimulating, definitely overthinking, going into those thought spirals, maybe intrusive thoughts, you know, it's not a fun time. So that's why I think it's like really interesting when you think about it, because it's like, oh my God, it's like this beautiful moment and it's building up basically since their childhood, and they have not seen each other for years, and then they come back together and they're like in university, they're rivals again, but it's different this time. They have more autonomy, they're grown-ups, or somewhat grown-ups at least, technically, you know, legally, let's say. And it's just a scene that it's been so many years since I watched it. They started in 2021, right? Bad Buddy started in 2021. It's now the end of 2025, and I still think about it. I still read fan fiction, I still rewatch it, I still think about, especially that scene, but in general, Bad Buddy. I made last year, like I said, a Bad Buddy episode on my podcast where I really dive deep into it, all the dynamics, especially with the parents and all the mistakes that the parents made. So again, if you want to listen to that and hear my takes and my rambling on that, that's for you. But yeah, it's so interesting because I think there's so many different types of first kisses. Like we have some of those like basically like accidental first kisses, for example in Love by Chance. Then we have those which are like really long time coming, like in Sotus. Then we have like something like in like Only Friends or something, which is more firstly of a sexual nature and then later becomes about emotions. You know, these are kind of like different levels and different like vibes of first kisses, because some of them are very like cutesy, like I said, also slightly maybe even accidental. Some of them are really emotionally charged, but also like really quite happy and leading to also like an actual relationship nearly directly, like I said in Sotus. But then we also got stuff like in Bad Buddy, but also in The Eclipse, similar, like there's like so much outside pressure on, especially also again one of them, which in this, like in The Eclipse, is obviously Ak, and he has like all this pressure like from society, from the school and stuff like that. And so I feel like it's very similar because they're going through like this, they're like repressing themselves so much, and it's like really unhealthy actually to repress your emotions and to not cry and to not think about it, because your brain at some point needs to process it, because and so that's why it's actually really healthy to like cry, to let it out, to talk about it. And okay, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this, so that was a lot, but I'm hope you're still with me. But yeah, I think it's just like, it's such a good way of showing, firstly, like the tension, but also the actors really emoting with their faces, with their bodies, the eyes, so amazing, like then the kiss, then the second kiss, then you can see both of their faces, very different. Pat being like super relieved, happy. Pran being like, oh my God, this is the best thing that ever happened. But oh my God, literally, I just also my worst nightmare, because what if someone finds out about us? We're gonna get separated again, and then I know what it feels to kiss him, but I can't have him. So I feel like, he's like torturing himself, going on those thought spirals, and that's just like, it breaks my heart every time. Same as the scene before, like in some of the episodes before, where Pat sleeps in Pran's room and they talk about ink, and he's like, and Pat is like, oh my God, yeah, I like ink, and he's like, I don't like ink, and then he like cries silently. Jesus, Nanon, that man, he just breaks my heart every time in that scene as well. Oh, it's just so heartbreaking. But yeah, I think it's just such an amazing show of like acting artistry, basically, but also of the cinematography. And I like that the music isn't too loud either, because I think sometimes they put in some series in general, doesn't matter in which country, they sometimes put too much or too loud music. That's why I think it's annoying sometimes. But I think it's just so good. Like, I can't even, like, I'm literally running out of words so I don't say constantly good, amazing, great, lovely, whatever, because I'm running out of them a little bit. I needed tutorials so I like can look up some symptoms so I don't say the same word again. But yeah, I think it's just so like, it's just so mind-blowing kind of, because yes, there's probably like there's so many good other first kisses. I've made literally 2 videos about that, and I could still probably make at least 2 to 3 more just from what shows have come out this year which have great kissing scenes. But yeah, as I've said before, this show comes out in like 2021, was like really big also in 2022, and I'm still thinking about it, and I'm still like, yeah, it still like lives rent-free in my mind, definitely. And so yeah, just wanted to share this with you, because I'm just amazed by the acting basically, and by this whole scene, how it also just comes all together, because it feels so real that you as the viewer can really feel the emotions like coming off the screen. And I feel like that's when, you know, the actors, but also the director, the cinematographer and stuff like that have done their job right, you know. Okay, thank you friends so much for watching this very special video. I'm so excited to know what you think. Tell me all about it down below in the comments. You can also send me DMs on Instagram. Love to hear from you, love to talk about it. What is your favorite kiss? What is your favorite moment in Bad Buddy? Is this one of your favorite moments? What do you think about that? Just tell me, let me know, like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye!